galleria color. Put galleria color. Family class. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
Srimad Laxmi Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Prabhupada. From Canto 2, chapter number 10, text number 9. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavatasevaya Bhagavate Uttamaśloke Bhaktir Bhakti Naitaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, text number 9. Chapter title Bhagavatam is answer to all questions. Ekam ekatara bhave
Ekam ekatara bhave
yadha no phalabhamahe
yada no phalabhamane
tritayam tatrayo veda
Nityanatarayo Veda
sa atma swashraya shrayah
Sarva Swasraya Shrayana
ekam ekatara bhave
Ekam ekatara bhave
yadha no phalabhamahe
yada no phalabhamane
tritayam tatrayo veda
Tritayam tatrayo Veda
sa atma swashrayah
Sa atma swasraya shraya
ekam ekatara bhave
Ekam ekatara bhave
yada no phalabhamahe
yada no phalabhamane
tritayam tatrayo veda
Tritayam tatrayo Veda
sa atma swashrayah
Sa atma swasraya shraya
Ekam ekatara bhave
Ekam ekatara bhave
yada no phalabhamahe
yada no phalabhamane
tritayam tatrayo veda
Tritayam tatrayo Veda
sa atma swasraya shrayah
Sa atma swasraya shraya Ekam ekatara bhave yada no phalabhamane Tritayam tatrayo Veda
tritayam tatrayo veda
Atma swasraya shraya
sa atma swasraya shrayah
Ekam ekatara bhave
Ekam ekatara bhave
yadano phalabhamane
yada no phalabhamane
tritayam tatrayo veda
Tritayam tatrayo Veda
sa atma swashraya shrayah
Sa atma swasraya shraya Ekam ekatara bhave yada no phalabhamane Tritayam tatrayo Veda Sa atma swasraya shraya
Translation by Srimad Prabhupada. All three of the above mentioned stages of different living entities are interdependent. In the absence of one, another is not understood. But Supreme Being, who sees every one of them as the shelter of the shelter, he is independent of all, and therefore he is supreme shelter. Please repeat. All three of the above mentioned stages
All three of the above mentioned stages
of different living entities
of different living entities
are interdependent.
are interdependent.
In the absence of one,
In the absence of one,
another is not understood.
another is not understood.
But
But
Supreme Being,
Supreme Being,
who sees every one of them
who sees every one of them
as the shelter
as the shelter
of the shelter,
of the shelter,
is independent of all,
is independent of all,
and therefore
and therefore
he is the supreme shelter.
he is the supreme shelter.
Purport by Prabhu. So I'm going to read first paragraph and then I'm going to continue with some understanding, with some comments, then I'm going to continue. So there are innumerable living entities, one dependent on the other in the relationship of the control and the controller. But without the medium of perception, no one can know or understand who is the control and who is the controller. For example, the sun controls the power of our vision. We can see the sun because sun has its body. And the sunlight is useful only because we have the eyes. Without our having the eyes, the sunlight is useless. And without sunlight, eyes are useless. Thus they are interdependent. And none of them is independent. Therefore, the natural question arises concerning who made them interdependent. The one who has made the relationship of interdependence must be ultimately completely independent. Hariom Tat Sat. Jnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapadakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsya Sri Rupam Sadhyatam Sadhanaragnatam Vidantam Sativam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Paritnasahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Sajivam. Okay. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravadi Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hari Om Tat Sat. So here we see, so in this chapter, in the beginning, Srimad Goswami was explaining in the first 7 verses the 10 subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So what are the 10 subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam? So going back to that was very important to understand. Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Poshanam, Bhutayaha, and Manvantara, Ishanukata, Nirodho, Muktir, Ashraya. So he explained this 10 subject matter. At least he gave a slight explanation of each one of them until text number 7. So text number 8. So the first 7 verses is an answer to the question asked by Maharaj Parikshit to Srimad Goswami in the 7th chapter, 18th verse. 18th verse he was asking this question. So what is this subject matter? And the next answer, next verse, text number 8 and text number 9 is answering the question from the text number 7 of the 7th chapter. So let us see what is the text number 7 of the 7th chapter. So asidyat udarat admam loka samsthana lakshanam yavan ayam vaipurusha yetat vait tatak pratak. So Parikshit Maharaj is asking, so how do you differentiate the body of the Supreme Lord as how do you compare that to the body of the living entity? So in that relationship, so Muni is answering this question. So the previous verse he very beautifully answered the question. He said the Supreme One is who is celebrated as Supreme Being. Sorry, it's the 7th verse, the 8th verse. The individual person possessing the different instruments of senses is called Adhyatma. So he clearly mentions that there is a difference between the living entity and the Supreme One. The living entity is just Adhyatma. He can just control the senses. Prahlad is Adhyatma means one who has control over his senses. And the Adi Devikam. So Adi Deva is someone or the higher living entities or the demigods who control those senses. And the third one, Adi Bhautika. Adi Bhautika refers to the material body. And so beyond that is Krishna. So that is what is described in this 9th verse. So we see how there is interdependence between Adi Adhyatmika, Adi Devika and Adi Bhautika. So Adhyatmika being the living entity and Adi Devika being the controller of the senses and Adi Bhautika being the material body. And beyond that is this Supreme Lord who is the shelter for all these three things. So that is a connection between 7th verse and the 8th verse and the 9th verse. So very good example of that is just like if you take a house, Prabhupada always compares the material body with the house. So we sometimes go into a house for rent. So we can stay there as long as we are allowed to stay. One is as long as we pay the rent, other is as long as the landlord lets us stay. There are two different possibilities. So when we stay as long as we are allowed to stay, and then we are checked out. So he compares the material body to the house. So taking the same analogy, so someone can be in the house and he can enjoy the house, but the facilities in the house, the utilities in the house is not provided by himself. He did not give the connection, electricity connection, power connection. He did not get the water connection and the sewage connection. All these connections come from the municipality. So who controls them? Like switches. So one switch on, electricity comes. One switch off, no electricity. So the same way, so in the previous verse was described the Adhyatma person. He uses the senses that is given to him. But the senses by itself is in control of the Adi Devika demigods. Demigods can switch off and switch on the senses. It's all in their control. So if they, yesterday we were seeing that in Mother Anakini, she was also mentioning how if the Supreme Lord, if the demigods, they decide this person has become paralytic and he cannot even move his hands, he cannot even move his fingers. So, same way, so Paramatma is the one who lets things happen. So, but the demigods are given that power to control the living entities. And so here Prabhupada is giving an example of the sun planet. The sun demigod is in control of the sense of eyes. And eyes were given the power to see only because the demigod is letting us see. And of course, the light has to be there. Without light, in darkness, we cannot see. That's number one. So in two ways that sun god is letting us see. One is giving us the light. The light goes and falls on an object. It reflects from the object, it comes to our eyes, and we can see. Or even inside the eyes. So the demigods, they are enabling us to see. So Savita means eyes. So Savitri means the Supreme Lord who is situated inside the sun god. So there is a connection between the eyes and the sun god. So that's what is described in this purport. The Prabhupada is describing very nicely. So the demigod of sun controls the eyesight. So that connection we have to remember. So then we can understand how the demigods also play an important role. So they are given that for example, the president of the country will not take interest in whether you have power connection or whether you deserve power connection. He doesn't take interest. If you don't pay the power bills, he's not going to be the person coming and switching off the switch. But it will be somebody else in the municipality or in the mayor or somebody under him. So who will be in charge of the utilities? So they switch off the switch, not the president of the country. The same way, the Paramatma, Supreme Lord, doesn't have to get personally involved. So he gives the functionality, he enables the demigods to do the functionality. And of course, if they don't do it properly, they are also held accountable. Just like the municipal employees, if they don't do it properly, they are also held accountable. The demigods also have an accountability. But they hold the switch, so we have to remember that point. Going further to the purport. As stated in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the ultimate source of all interdependent objectives is the complete independent subject. So independence is very important here. So we may be dependent on demigods, but who is dependent on whom is the demigods dependent upon? So if the Supreme Lord decides to not give them the power, demigods are powerless. So we see many times in the Puranas, even in the Bhagavad Purana. So Indra many times wants to fight different people. And Vritsasura, for example. So he tries all his best weapons, but nothing happens to Vritsasura. He just swallows everything. But even in the case of he is using the thunderbolt weapon, so he has to depend upon somebody else. So demigods are also powerless. So if required, Krishna can render them completely powerless. And they will not be able to do their functionality. So they should understand, many times Krishna reminds them. It's like in the Bhagavatam also we see how Indra forgets his position and how he's thinking that he's all in all, he's all by himself. He has complete control over the vrishti or the rain. If he wants, he can give rain, or if he wants, he will stop giving rain. Or he can even completely inundate the whole village if required, if he thinks that he wants to do that. So that is sometimes the demigods also are completely become overwhelmed by the power. At that time Krishna intervenes and then puts the main switch off. And they actually show their place where they really belong to. So in the same way, demigods, they should know that they are actually dependent upon the Supreme Lord. And Krishna does do that many times. Demigods remember most of the times. It's not that they forget most of the times, and sometimes they remember. They remember all the time, but sometimes they forget. So that's the difference. So whereas in our situation, we totally forget about the Supreme Lord. Time and again we are reminded about how we are in control of the different higher entities. So there is either some virus threatening us, or there is some excess of rainfall, or there is no rainfall. There's always natural calamities happening all over. Time and again we are reminded of that, like the hurricanes, for example. So, but still we forget the Supreme Lord. The demigods are not like that. They can see the Supreme Lord face to face. So if they want, they can go to the Shira Shagara, they can go to the Milk Ocean, they can see Lord Vishnu face to face. So they always know the Supreme Lord is the controller. Sometimes they forget. That is the difference between demigods and us. Many times we criticize the demigods, seeing from the Bhagavatam and some stories, and we take that as an opportunity to criticize the demigods. That's not correct. Demigods are described as devotees. And Sura means one who is devoted to Krishna. Asura means one who is not devoted to Krishna. So they are devotees, but they are not highest class devotees. They are more like Prakrita devotees. They are not fully in the highest platform, but they understand the highest platform. That's the beauty. So their knowledge, they have the knowledge of what is highest and what is lowest. So it is described in the previous the last two verses back when I was reading on Monday. So we saw how the demigods, they are also very happy if a devotee makes progress. And they help the devotee also many times. back in the spiritual world, they all showered flowers on him. Demigods, they appreciate the devotee. And they know that they may not be at that level, but they appreciate how the Kali Yuga also, there are people take up a devotional service and they wholeheartedly they sacrifice their words, their mind, their body in service of the Supreme Lord. Selflessly they sacrifice, so they are very highly appreciative of those different people. That is why it is even said demigods like to come in the Kali Yuga. Wherever there is Srimad Bhagavatam discussion happening, demigods they come in here. So one time Prabhupada also said, so a devotee asked Prabhupada, there is nobody in the Bhagavatam class. What should I do? So he says, you read it aloud. Demigods will come in here. So demigods are there everywhere. At every moment they are definitely there. And they are coming to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, especially in Kali Yuga. And so one should be very, very careful. So it doesn't matter whether people come for Bhagavatam class, don't come for Bhagavatam class. But Bhagavatam reading should go on. So that is the Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya means. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya is not dependent upon whether people are there or not there. Or whether the speaker is giving a very eloquent lecture or not. It doesn't matter. So as long as we quote the authority, we speak from the Paramaguru, what Prabhupada said, what Acharyas have said, even if it is repeating the same item, that you are not the body, doesn't matter. Still, it is the same message being read out. And it purifies you, it purifies everybody who hears, it purifies even the demigods. So we should always keep it in mind. We should be very clear about the purpose of what we're doing, and not the paraphernalia, things surrounding it. Not be enamored by that. So many times it happens, devotees, they look for some appreciation and then they do the Bhagavatam class. The Bhagavatam class is not meant for self-appreciation. It is appreciating the Supreme Lord, and that the purpose is for pleasing the Supreme Lord, then it is a success. Because everybody gets satisfied. Yasmin tushte jagat tushti. So by pleasing whom, everybody else gets pleased. So that is a real way of doing Srimad Bhagavatam. That is a real way of doing devotional service. So pleasing the Supreme Lord should be the goal, and not the how others perceive your talk or your lecture. That should not be the goal. The goal should be about pleasing the Supreme. Then everything becomes perfect. Coming back to the topic, so he is only dependent upon himself, and he is the supreme shelter of everything. So, as I mentioned, so both the Adhyatma, Adi Bhautika, Adi Devika, they all depend upon the Supreme. Very interestingly, just like these two verses, Krishna speaks the same, this different information in Bhagavad Gita also, the 8th chapter. So Arjuna is asking the question, the very first verse of the 8th chapter. So what is Adhyatma, what is Adi Bhautika, and what is Adi Devika? For that very beautifully Krishna is answering this. I would like to read that here. Shri Bhagavan was Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavo Adhyatmam Uchyate Bhuta Bhavo Udbhavakaro Visargaha Karma Samjitaha Adi Bhutam Sharo Bhavaha Purushaha Cha Adi Devatam Adi Yagyo Aham Evatra Dehe Dehe Pritham Vyavaraha. So meaning that what is Adi Deva, what is Adi Adhyatmika? So this is Adhyatmika is something which is referring to something that does not get destroyed. Akshara. So Aksharam hi Brahma, that is Adhyatmika. Brahman is the Adhyatmika. And what is Adi Devatam? Adi Devatam is the Purusha, or someone who controls over the other Adhyatmas, other living entities, or in other words, demigods. Very, very same information. And then he continues to say that Adi Bhuta is the body, Akshara. Adi Bhuta Shara Bhavaha. Shara means that which is destroyable, or the living entity, or the body of the living entity. So Adi Bhutam is the body, Adhyatmam is the spirit soul or the Brahman, and the Adi Devatam is the demigods. And he says, finally says, Adi Yagyam Aham Evatra. So I am Adi Yagyam. I am the enjoyer of all everything, sacrifices. And dehe vritam mana. So I am controlling all other entities, he says. So very exactly the same information is there here. So that's why we say Srimad Bhagavatam is the postgraduate study. So Bhagavad Gita is a graduate study. So here is the further explanation of why each one is a dependent entity and why the Supreme Lord is independent entity. This is another proof for that here. Going further, so Lord Krishna says that he is the Purushottama and the source of everything. And thus it is concluded that Sri Krishna is ultimate source and shelter of all entities, including the Super Soul, the Supreme Brahman. Even accepting there is no difference between Super Soul and individual soul. The independent soul is dependent on the Super Soul for being liberated from the illusion of material energy. Individual is under the clutches of illusory energy. Therefore, although qualitatively one with the Super Soul, is under the illusion of identifying himself with the matter. And to get out of this illusory conception of actual life, the individual soul has to depend on the Super Soul to be recognized as one with him. In that sense also, the Super Soul is supreme shelter, and therefore there is no doubt about it. So this explains although the living entity is in nature one with the Super Soul, or similar to the Super Soul, but is not equal to him at any point. Because the living entity is fallible. The living entity, by its nature, it is the Tatashta Shakti of the Supreme Lord. It belongs to the marginal potency. Because it belongs to the marginal potency, he always has the tendency to fall over to the external energy, come under the control of the clutches of Maya, illusory energy. Whereas he can also be in the internal potency, or he can be under the shelter of the Yoga Maya potency. So he always has to be either in this side or in this side. The cat on the wall cannot be on the wall at all times. The cat has to either jump this side or that side. So it cannot be on the same position all the time. So the same way, the living entity also either is under control of internal potency or under control of the external potency at all times. So he can never become one with the Supreme. Because the Supreme never comes into the control of the external potency. Always remains above the three, all the potencies. So he is not under control of his own energy. All these energies are subservient to Krishna. So as Brahma Samhita very clearly says that Chayaiva yasya bhuvanani vibhatti Durga. So Durga is like his shadow. So she is Lord's shadow. Ichchanarupam appears chiteshtatesha. So she executes the will of the Lord. So the shadow cannot cover the sun. There is shadow, you see that because sun is there and shadow is there. Without sun there is no shadow. And sun cannot by itself come under the shadows. Right? Same way, Supreme Lord never comes under the control of the illusory potency. Whereas the living entity comes under the shadow. He becomes covered by the illusory potency. It's very important to understand this point. The individual living entity, the Jiva, is always dependent on the Super Soul, Paramatma. Because the individual soul forgets his spiritual identity, whereas the Super Soul, Paramatma, does not forget his transcendental position. The Bhagavad Gita, these separate positions of the Jivatma and the Paramatma are specifically mentioned. Fourth chapter, Arjuna, the Jiva soul, is represented as a forgetful of his many, many previous births. So this is the fourth chapter. Krishna says, Bahuni me yatitani janmani tavacharjuna. So I have taken many, many births, Arjuna. Many, many births. And Thani aham sarvam janami. So I remember all of those previous births. But you don't remember, Krishna says. Because I remember all the previous births. Because I remember the past, present, and the future. That's what it says in here also. Vedaham samtittani vartamani chajajuna bhavishyani chabhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. I know everything. I know the bhavishya, future. I know the bhuta, past. I know the vartama. I know the present. I know all the three. Trikalagya. I know all three times. Past, present and future. So nobody can climb that. So only Supreme Lord can climb that. The Lord in His eternal blissful body of knowledge is fully aware of all that happened in the past, that which is going to happen in the present, and also what will happen in the future. In spite of His being the shelter of both Paramatma and Brahman, with persons with a poor fund of knowledge are unable to understand Him as He is. So, person with poor fund of knowledge, they cannot understand. So, in this context, it's very interesting. It's a nice story. Srimad Bhagavatam. This is a story of Muchukunda, deliverance of Muchukunda. 51st chapter of the Bhagavatam, 10th canto. So Lord Krishna and Lord Balrama, they were in Mathura. But Mathura was constantly being attacked by who? Jarasandha. Jarasandha attacked Mathura constantly. Because Jarasandha was the father-in-law of Kamsa. So Kamsa was married to his daughter. She was very upset that Kamsa was killed. So Jarasandha decided to take vengeance against the Lord. So he attacked Mathura 17 times. And in the 18th time, all the time was defeated. So he was completely vanquished. All the soldiers, everybody who came with him were killed. Only he remained. And he went back. Krishna said, go back. I'm not killing you. So he went back. He came back again with a big army. Again, it was completely pulverized. And again he went back. In this way, Krishna wanted to fulfill his purpose of his coming. To reduce the burden of Mother Earth. So much of unwanted people, so much of unwanted armies were there. They need to be killed. So Krishna used Jarasandha as a tool to bring all those unnecessary people. His allies, everybody came. They were all killed. Then finally, in 18th time, Jarasandha brought with him another Yavana king. So Yavana means Greek king. And his name was Kala Yavana. So Kala Yavana was a very dreadful battle. He was always going for battles, just like Alexander the Great. He was always wanting to go and conquer different kingdoms. See, this Kala Yavana was a person like that. So he wanted to come and fight with Jarasandha. But Jarasandha said, okay, let's make friends. Let's fight with Krishna. Because he has defeated me. And if you defeat him, it's as good as defeating me. Because he defeated me multiple times. So he made friends with him, became allies with him, and he wanted to come and fight Krishna. So Krishna this time decided, okay, I'm tired of fighting with this Jarasandha. He is no shame. I have defeated him 17 times. Very shamelessly he keeps coming. So this time I want to do something different. So he takes all his, overnight he completely transports his entire kingdom to Dwarka. He creates his own kingdom, his own palaces, everything, and he transports everybody mystically to Dwarka. So everybody wakes up and sees themselves in Dwarka. Then, so Mathura is completely abandoned. And then he comes out to fight with Jarasandha and Kala Yavana. And this time he doesn't want to fight with him. So he wants to run away from the battle. So he runs away, just two of them, they run away. And Jarasandha is just wanting to laugh. Oh, he's afraid of me, he's running away. But Kala Yavana is not like that. So he has come for a battle, he wants to fight. So he runs behind Krishna. Krishna runs, Balrama runs, and he follows. So when what happens, Krishna goes into a cave. And so Kala Yavana enters into the cave, is calling Krishna names. Oh, you are this, you are that. I thought you were like this, you were like that. But now you're running and you're just hiding from me. What a coward you are. Come out, let's fight. So no, there's no answer. So he goes into the cave. When he goes into the cave, then it's full dark. And so he sees somebody is sleeping there. And he thought it's Krishna. And he goes and kicks him. And he wakes up like a volcano, right? So he wakes up and he sees Kala Yavana and immediately is burned to ashes. So the previous story is that Muchukunda was in a king from the Ikshvaku dynasty, much before Lord Rama. So he's coming from that dynasty, and he had complete dominion over the entire Earth planet. So, and he was the ruler of the entire Earth planet. So the demigods, were having a big fight with the demons that time. And they asked for the help from Muchukunda. So please help me. So he went to the heavens and he fought with the demons. And when the fight was still going on, somehow or other they found a different, they persuaded Lord Shiva and Kartikeya was born, and Kartikeya became their chief of army. So then Muchukunda was not required. So the demigod said, so you have fought for us for a long time, and we are so thankful to you, and we want to relieve you of these duties. So please kindly go back to your kingdom. And then they had a second thought. They said, but when you go back, there's nobody for you. Because you come to heaven, it's in a different time scale. And you have by the time you go back, everybody is already dead. All your family is gone. Everybody is gone. So you will not have anybody to get recognized. So then Muchukunda says, better put me to sleep. I'm so tired of this fighting. I want to at least take rest. And nobody should disturb me. If somebody disturbs me, I want to make sure they're explaining the answers. Demigods, all right, you have this. You asked for it. So Krishna knew this. Krishna knew it's time for Muchukunda to be delivered. So he wanted to use Kalayavana as a tool. So he brought him there and he had him killed by Muchukunda. So Muchukunda's desire was also fulfilled. He had a long sleep, and he killed the person whom he decided to kill, whoever wakes him up. And now Muchukunda comes back to his senses. He doesn't remember his past. But Krishna remembers. The point I'm trying to make here is Krishna remembers the past of everybody. He remembers Arjuna's past. So he tells him, Muchukunda, you are actually a great king who fought for the demigods. And your time has come. So now we have to wake up and you have to go for your deliverance. You must seek your deliverance. So you have to go and you have to meditate upon me and you will surely come back to me. So beauty is that Muchukunda also recognizes. As soon as he sees the Supreme Lord, he sees his beautiful features and he sees his wonderful form. Immediately recognizes this is Supreme Lord. This is not an ordinary person. He has seen all the demigods. He has seen everybody. So he knows the Supreme Lord. So immediately he surrenders to him and immediately he is delivered. So there's a deliverance of Muchukunda. So Krishna knows the past, present and future. So he knows our future also. But he also gives a free will to us for us to decide. So we should make a good use of the free will, and we should think good for ourselves, we should do good for ourselves. And what is the highest good we can do for ourselves? What is the highest good?
Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. Mate vidusham swartha gatim chirishma. Highest swartha, highest self-interest is to surrender to the Supreme Lord. So that is so I have one more paragraph. The propaganda of identity of cosmic consciousness, the consciousness of the individual living entity is completely misleading, because even such a personal individual soul as Arjuna could not remember his past deeds, although he is always with the Lord. And what can the tiny ordinary man falsely claiming to be one with the cosmic consciousness know about his past, present and future? This is a very important point, because even if you claim Krishna is also someone like us, he has come into this material world, so assuming he has a material body, so he's also one of us, one like us. What is the difference? So but Krishna can remember his past lives, he cannot remember our past lives, and he remembers the past lives of everyone. That's the difference. So that proves he is God. So we'll stop here. Any questions, any comments on this discussion so far?
I kind of remember that actually Krishna didn't run, he walked. But Kalyana was running. In the Krishna book, Prabhu says he just kind of casually walked through the battle to the armies, and he was running like crazy. You coward! Krishna's just going for a walk. As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, when I read it last, a few months ago, I think Prabhu says Krishna thought it was time to go for a walk.
Right, I also remember that.
So, and the other point about Jarasandha was he'd come back after being defeated, and he felt defeated. But then his family and friends would say, no. He was, he didn't kill you because he knows he can't go up against you. It wasn't you. It was you had the wrong army. You got to get a better army. I mean, this is the way they think. It wasn't me. It wasn't you. It was them. They're the problem, not me. Krishna's afraid of me. I just got to get the right army. That's all.
Yeah, material people can come up with so much. Asuras, they always think they are better than gods, better than God, better than Krishna. So even when Jarasandha had an opportunity to choose who to fight with, so he had Arjuna, he had Bhima, he had Krishna. So he didn't want to choose with Krishna, and he chose Bhima. So it's like his false understanding that he's better than him.
Yeah.
So that's very funny. Although he was defeated multiple times.
Yeah, well, Krishna shows him a partial universal form. And he sees that and he says, I still think we can take him. It's just a trick,
Right.
It's just,
That's amazing.
But then one other important thing you were saying at the beginning of the class about the attendance and lack of, if I remember correctly, the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita was spoken in the loft, in the Bowery. There was no one there. And Prabhupada was explaining that it was my responsibility to preach. So I'll preach to the walls, I'll preach to the floor, I'll preach to the air, to the demigods. And that introduction for the Bhagavad Gita is him giving a class to an empty room in the Bowery.
I remember the recording. If you hear the recording,
Yeah.
in a small room,
Right.
really big.
And that is the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, which is, everyone, it's something that, like, for instance, my wife, she just keeps rereading it. It's about, she just keeps rereading the Bhagavad Gita. And then each time she reads it, she takes a colored pen and underlines a point. So now, just about every line is underlined, but it's like a rainbow. It looks very... So, anyway.
Nice realization. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
One thing I have observed about the Asuras, they want to try to be like the demigod, so they do some tapasya or something and get the benediction. There's so many we can quote, that they did all kinds of tapasya, but when they get it, they misuse it. You notice that? They don't use, that's why they get destroyed. And then they get upset. The Asuras are always upset at the demigods and the three murtis, You all are good for giving benediction. But then you all lie, cheat, you all take it away. But the thing is that they misuse it. They never use it for a good purpose. Correct?
Yeah.
If you think about it.
They are fickle-minded. They don't have good intelligence.
And then they get upset at Rama, Shiva, and Vishnu, that they say Vishnu is always tricking. It's always not telling the truth.
What I find interesting is reading some of the Srimad Bhagavatam is they know who Krishna is.
Yeah.
They know who he is.
Yeah.
They know how powerful he is.
They're actually
I think
Vedic
it was in the
scholars.
7th canto, reading, I forget which Asura it was.
Who knows?
Yeah, he's describing,
Demons?
Famous.
yeah.
Demons know who is Krishna?
Hmm?
You're saying the demons know who is Krishna?
Yeah, they know who Krishna is.
Not everyone knows.
But the ones that I was reading about, they knew who Krishna was.
Well, Ron Kasparov in the 7th canto, he gives a fantastic eulogy for
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I was
Right.
just amazed at how he was going on about who Krishna was.
Yeah, there you go.
And explaining so nicely who Krishna was and understanding.
Seventh canto?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. He was explaining it to his mother was.
When his brother was killed.
Yes, yes, that's what I
And
was
he was
reading.
preaching to the
Yes.
wives and his mother.
It's just amazing how beautifully he was talking about Krishna and explaining everything. Like you understand.
It's the entire second chapter of Bhagavad Gita.
What is the problem?
Yeah, you can actually quote some of those verses in a Bhagavatam class as a devotee.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Just wow. I was like, this is Hiranyakashipu we're talking, right?
Hiranyakasipu has a daughter called Simika. She's really very upset with Vishnu for killing her father and the family, you know. So you remember, you know who Simika is? Simika is the one when in Hanuman's pastime, when he travels, she becomes this big demon, you know, and he goes inside the mouth. That is Simika. That is Hiranyakasipu's daughter. You remember that the big
Yeah, I know
demon
Semika,
lady?
but
Yeah.
I don't know this connection.
Yeah, he's Hiranyakasipu's daughter. And she's always like upset at Vishnu for what he did. You know, and wanted to be Sudarshan Chakra. So she can become Vishnu. It's a Hanuman pastime, this one.
Yeah. Jai, Granth Rashna Bhagavatam ki jai.
Yeah.